How to Create a Glitch Monologues Season 32 Chapter 7. This is Season 32 of How to Create a Glitch in the Matrix Monologues Episode 7. In this episode, we will be bringing together our discussion of progressivism with Episode 1 of Season 17. To start off, in Season 17 Episode 1 we talked about how the non-consensual colors the consensual reality we experience. Which is to say that our subjective perceptions of the other will be shaped by our non-consensual narratives or shadow self. But the principle was broader than that. If you find your reality repugnant, if you find your nature repugnant, if you reject what is around you, then you will reject your own impulses, then you will reject nature. Now, I use the word narratives often in these podcasts. I have failed to properly explain what I mean by that word. Narratives are the intersubjective produce of our impulses. When we create a narrative, or receive a narrative, that narrative is significant only in as much as it affirms or inhibits our impulses. Narratives are the medium by which the conjoined consensuality draws out dissonant consensualities. They do this by affirmation or negation of the underlying impulses. To return to our earlier point, our perception of the physical world is likewise shaped by non-consensual and consensual narratives just as is our perception of the other. In the past few seasons, we have described a paradigm called progressivism. There were identified issues with this paradigm, reflective of the underlying way which it substitutes narratives combined with a tendency to desensitize the population, rewrite the archetypal vocabulary of the system. The issue with the aforementioned tendencies are that they represent the flipping of the historical, traditional, view of archetypal figures of the past according to a normative structure of the present. Nevertheless, the underlying issue with this recipe is the following. Narratives just like thoughts are paired. Which means that expressing affirmatory narratives in relation to one archetype means a countervailing narrative with respect to another archetype. But this is not the whole of the problem. The other issue is that progressivism does not just entail the affirmatory narratives, it often also results in the negating narratives with respect to a countervailing archetype. The point being, maybe there is another option beyond dualistic views of symbolism and archetype. Let me explain. It is dualism which compels us to combine affirming narratives with respect to one archetype or symbolic figure and countervailing narratives with respect to the dialectical. But the truth is that if we escape the dualistic perspective, if we generate affirming narratives regarding both dialectical archetypes, we can eliminate the zero-sum nature of their dialogue and produce change which is transformational. Furthermore, we must eliminate the derogatory narratives which are inhibitory to archetypes and symbolic figures of each paradigm simultaneously, to avoid the generation of negation in the non-consensual narratives of the outgroup. Only when the dialogue becomes post-dualistic will we be able to integrate all peoples, archetypes and symbolic figures, in a rubric of consensuality which defies in-groups and out-groups. More importantly, the problems that we have arising out of our relationship to nature are the very same as the problems we have in relation to our shadow self. Only once we are filled with acceptance in relation to our nature, will we see the beauty in the natural world, truly and fully, respecting it, as we respect our own hearts. But likewise, the narratives of social change must be decoupled from the narratives which generate our approach to the natural world, or we risk undermining the transformational post-dualistic change needed to reflect a proper relationship to the natural world. Our relationship to the natural world is an urgent problem. Human nature is a work in progress. That's the end of the podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe.